Welcome, guys, to the Blue Stable Podcast. As always, we got a special episode for you guys today. I am Michael Peavy, as always, your host. Joined by me, as always, Destin Adams, Rashad McGinnis. As you guys know, we told you last week, Rashad won't be here this week because he is down in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl, doing all types of coverage for the Blue Stable. Head over on Twitter. Follow him. King of Colts is his Twitter handle right now. Destin, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling jealous of our boy Rashad.
Definitely.
Obviously, I doubt I could have talked the wife into letting me swing a trip to Alabama this year. We have a 3-month-old child. Turned 3 months old yesterday, actually. So we're having to represent that way as parents right now. But super pumped for Rashad being able to represent the Blue Stable out in Mobile.
Hey, man, you had to try and convince the wife. I had to try and convince the new boss. And as soon as I got credentialed and I asked, I was kind of heartbroken. But at the end of the day, man, you always got to move on. But guys, this is a special episode because we're still talking Colts football. We're still talking, potential training, all that stuff, because we have a special guest with us here today, Eddy. And I want to pronounce this right. Eddy McGilvra.
There you go, bro.
There you go. Eddy, how you doing, man?
I can't complain, man. It's, 60 degrees, Southern California. Nothing wrong out here.
Man, everybody listening in Indy right now is jealous. We got a warm day today. I think it's like 45 right now where I'm at.
Aren't y'all supposed to be getting like 12 inches of snow soon?
We're getting hit. We're getting hit in a couple of days. When this episode drops, there might already be snow on the ground even.
Probably. Hey, man, SoCal, they just picked up Caleb Williams going to USC, so that's pretty. The video he put out there was kind of cringeworthy, honestly. But hey, big pickup for USC. But this is not a USC podcast, guys. These are Colts questions. We are Colts fans. We're not going to talk about Trojans, even though Rashad's a USC guy. We got Eddy here. Eddy, introduce yourself to the people, man. We know who you are, but we want to give you the floor real quick to open the show.
Right on, man. I'm a NFL, college, high school coach, consultant, teacher, trainer, kind of well-rounded in that sense. I work with defensive ends, defensive tackles, nose guards, edge guys, outside backers. Guys come to me all times, off season out here in SoCal. I'll travel out to them every now and then. Just all around football head and enjoy helping, guys see the game through my eyes.
And real quick, what jerseys do we got hanging in the back?
Oh, those are like the family right there, man. That's Alex Singleton. He's now with Philly, and then Morgan Fox, who was with the Rams. He's now with Charlotte.
There we go. Hey, guys, real quick, make sure you head on over to Blue Stable. Check out any type of articles, any type of news breaking articles, updates. We got more websites and articles coming to you guys soon. So, Eddy, I'll start off the first question, man. You got into it a little bit, but maybe if you want to go in depth, when all of this started for you becoming a trainer, getting deep into the development process for young people, what made you become and influenced you to become a developer of, current and future pass rushers and football players trying to get to the NFL?
Yeah, I'm just a big fan of the art of pass rush in general and defensive line play. So anytime I get a chance to learn from somebody or see it through somebody else's eyes or hear it through their mouth, like, to me, I never think I know everything. So I feel like there's always something to learn from somebody. And I was fascinated by the ability to get to the quarterback and cut down wasted motions to get there faster. So when I first started coaching, I was doing everything in my power to help develop younger guys. I started at the JUCO level. I coached JUCO for 8 years now out here in Southern California. I had a lot of success. A lot of guys transferred to Division I schools, full scholarship. And, once I started working with pros, man, I think I learned more from them than I learned from any coaches. So, I think that's what kind of took me and developed my craft, was just being around the guys that actually play on Sundays. And I was able to absorb their knowledge and see it through their eyes, and kind of took off from there.
The JUCO world, that's a whole nother monster. Just I feel like whenever I've scouted or worked into the JUCO realm of things, you just see monster athletes that just need. I feel like it's just like a very untapped potential type of world, even just monster athletes that really just need that coaching and that mechanic fixes. I bet that's a trainer's playground.
I love it, man. I love it for a lot of reasons. Like you said, like very raw potential athletic guys that maybe weren't developed in high school, or maybe, got to the Division I level and, they're young. A lot of times you're not ready for that, to be out there in the real world by yourself like that. And you need to come back and humble yourself and be around a program that's going to take care of you. And for me, I played it myself, so I went through the process, and I was one of those kids that was like, I wasn't ready for Division I. So when I got there, I was, right back to JUCO, and I saw a lack of resource in a sense where guys weren't getting developed because the school didn't have the money to pay for coaches. They couldn't be on campus, XYZ, and so I just took my own time and I grabbed every class I had. I grabbed them in the off season, in the spring and the summer. And we worked on, pass rush, run stuff, technique, watched film together. And I really saw those guys buy in and enjoy it. So that's kind of where I saw the business opportunity of training full time.
And you kind of touched on this a little bit, just some of the different types of athletes you've worked with. But is there a few that have kind of stood out for you, just being the most physically gifted players you've worked with, whether that's played with, trained, or you've known personally?
Ooh, that one's tough, man. I would say played against when I was in high school. I played against Andrew Luck, and that man was a freak show, extremely hard to tackle. You feel like you're grabbing him and he's not moving. I would say played against Andrew Luck was probably the craziest at the time. Played with, I mean, all types of guys, but they didn't necessarily become big time names. Guys that I train, Kwity's one of the freakiest guys. Kwity Paye is one of the freakiest guys I'm around in the off season. He's different. He has a different type of twitch to him. And I say Quentin Williams, when I had him for pre-draft in 2019, I mean, he was so raw because he had really only played 1 year at D tackle at Alabama. So that was a special guy to be around. And then this year, man, I mean, David Ojabo and Aiden Hutchinson at Michigan, those two guys are just phenomenal athletes and are going to, take the NFL by storm right away.
Ojabo is bendy, like
Oh yeah.
definition of the word bendy. I mean,
It's different, bro. I mean, I joked with him. I was like, your new nickname's gonna be Rubber Band Man. I was like, because every time you go down, you just pop right back up like it's nothing.
David Ojagbo, Edge 1, everybody. He is my Edge 1 this year. And speaking of, while we're at it on prospects, Eddie, looking at this current class of prospects coming out of college, down in Mobile right now, going to be drafted in April. Who are some of your favorites in this one? You mentioned a couple of them, the Michigan boys, but, if you want to, harp and go on about them or speak on anybody else, who are some of your favorites within this class?
Yeah, I would say like obviously Aiden, his film and it's untapped, like there's nobody really touching that off the edge. He's a special individual when it comes to football. And his mindset is it's unlimited, man. He can really do whatever he wants. Obviously Ojabo, I've been working with him, and he's fun to work with because he's very like a ball of clay. You can really do whatever you want with him. He just started playing ball, I think 4 years ago, maybe. So he's great. Boye Mafe, the Minnesota edge, also one of my guys for this class. Incredible bend as well. Really twitchy, really long. He hasn't really been developed at Minnesota. Not really a knock on Minnesota, but more when you're in college, right? You're not necessarily working on technique. You're working on the schematics of stuff. So that's usually how it goes, and guys got to figure it out on their own. But Boye has been adding some counter moves to his rushes, and I think he should be great at the Senior Bowl. Another guy, Isaiah Thomas from Oklahoma. He is more of a, bouncing inside outside type of hybrid. He can play 3 technique, he can play 5, he can go on the edge. He's a phenomenal athlete, and he's very tall, long. So I would look out for him at the Senior Bowl. And then guys that I've worked with, just, not necessarily for prep for the Senior Bowl, but in the spring when they were in college, they'd come out for spring break. Arnold, I don't want to ruin his last name. It's Ebekete, I want to say. But I call him AK. He is really, really twitchy, really quick, really fast. He has a big range of pass rush moves, and he showed him at Penn State. And I'm assuming he's going to put on a show at the Senior Bowl. It's going to be tough to block him. But yeah, I mean, I would say it's a very deep group, but those are just some of the names I've worked with. So
this is kind of not on the question list, I guess, but just kind of going off what you just said a little bit. So, I mean, these guys are working at the Senior Bowl. These guys are trying to impress. Some of these smaller names you even kind of mentioned, like what are some things those guys can do during this draft process to rise from being these bottom no names to being a guy you hear on day 2 of the draft, maybe late day 1 even?
Well, I think obviously like showcases like the Senior Bowl, right? If you get that invite, that's a huge opportunity. The Shrine did a great job this year. I saw they had a new director come in and really help that. And it being in Las Vegas was huge, I think. There's some smaller bowls too. Like I think like it's like the Gridiron Bowl, it was like the Hula Bowl, I want to say, right? It's another one. Those type of bowls are big, I think, because you just get those eyes on you in person. So if you prepare for those, I think you can definitely move your stock up as a lower graded player. But I think, I tell everybody this, like if you're a lower prospect on somebody's mock draft, like don't take that to heart, because at the end of the day, there's 32 teams. You only need one to invest in you. And if that one is investing in you, then they believe in you. And when you walk into a room as a football player, you can't change just because, you're in the NFL now. You got to be confident and proud in yourself, because that's what got you there. So if you're a lower prospect, like at the end of the day, put that chip on your shoulder and use it as fuel, and just put your head down and work. That's all you can really do.
Good stuff from Eddy McGilvra here. Real quick, I mean, same with Destin. You did not mention a guy that I'm actually curious to get your take on. He's like, I know, Destin, him and I do this with Rashad every year. We go through like my guys, who is my guy in the draft. And one of the guys that I love is Majai Sanders out of Cincinnati. I think he blossomed this year. I kind of, wish that he didn't go last year, which he did not. Came back, kind of shined a little bit more this year, put some more good stuff on tape. What is your evaluation of him going into this draft, and where do you possibly project him if you wanted to put a projection on him?
Oh, I haven't seen too much of him. I've heard the name pop up, and I've seen some clips. I watched them against, I think it was Bama, right? Yeah, I watched them against Bama because that was the playoff game. But I've heard good things. I mean, I think he's projected top 3 rounds, I want to say. So what I saw from him was just a great get off, which is, the first thing you got to have. I'm not too sure about his, his development or where he comes from or who he works with, but I've only heard good things about him.
So just going down the list here, the Colts are kind of looking into a new defensive coordinator, obviously, and a new defensive scheme, and maybe some tweaking to the old scheme even. So knowing Kwity and how you've worked with him in the past, what defensive scheme do you think he would be best suited for? Is there a scheme that you feel like he wouldn't fit in?
I don't know if he wouldn't fit in anything, because if you look back at his Michigan days, I mean, he was in a 3-3. Kind of playing 4-eye, which I thought, I mean, when we talked last time, I thought that was crazy. And, it's funny actually talking to Aiden and Ojabo, if Kwity were to play in McDonald's system from last year at Michigan, he probably would have had, 13, 15 sacks. So I really think he is more suited to be in a 4 down. Just keep him on the edge, let him play outside, let him play against the right tackle, the left tackle. It doesn't really matter, but he needs to be on the edge because he's going to set the edge against the run. He's fantastic against that. And he's definitely going to start improving as a pass rusher now that he has a year of tape under his belt.
I think even as the year went on last year, we kind of got to see Kwity Paye's pass rush come to life a little bit. I mean, he may have not ended with the crazy stat numbers that people want to talk about for like rookie of the year and everything like that. I believe he ended up with just 4.5. But I do know that the second half of the season last year, he was he was among the top 3 rookies in quarterback pressures last year in that second half of the season as he started to get his feet wet a little bit and just kind of get accustomed to the NFL. So I think I can speak for all Colts fans where I say we're really pumped for what Kwity Paye is going to bring in year 2.
Yeah, I'm not surprised on that pressure stat you gave me. I just want like sacks are interesting. It's like sacks take a lot more than just a person's individual skill or effort. It has to do with the entire rush. All guys rushing the quarterback have to be able to do a certain thing for one person or 2 people to get there. So I think stats are obviously overblown. Everybody wants a sack. It gets you paid. It's the pretty stat. But pressures, QB hits, to me, as a trainer and a coach, I love those stats. I see those stats. I talk to Kwity all year long after every game, before every game. And I'm like, bro, don't worry about getting a sack. Just keep your track, keep your momentum, and the sacks will come. I think it was the Jets game on a Thursday night. I think he could have easily had a 3+ sack game. There was a couple throws where the quarterback's knee was almost down or he got an intentional grounding. That happens all the time. So sacks are a little bit overblown in that sense for Kwity. And I think he got the all rookie team. Yeah, he got that for a reason, man. You turn the tape on and he's playing high level football. And the speed of the game really wasn't a problem for him.
Say it was either the Patriots or Raiders game, one of the last couple home games that I was at this past year, where it felt like Kwity very easily could have had 3 sacks, but instead he ended with 1.5. Because somebody was just jumping in on everything he got. So, I mean, the sack numbers, like you said, they'll come. The half sacks come into play where it feels like numbers get skewed a little bit. I like to look at quarterback pressures. I like to look at quarterback hits a lot near the end of the season because I feel like it tells more of a fuller picture, kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah, I think you're right on with that.
I think Eddie does have a point with when it comes to the sacks are overblown. I'm much bigger on sacks than Destin is. When you get more mature in the NFL, when you're a rookie, when you're in your second year, in your third year, that's where I want to look at the pressures, the hits. That's why last offseason I was big on getting a vet, not a rookie, to help this team succeed. With the rookie, if you're getting pressures, that means you're already tapping into the NFL. You're already almost there. And Kwity went against some strong tackles this year. And I don't think anybody really looks at the quality of tackles he and this defensive line went against, in the amount, and like Destin mentioned, in the second half of the season, it just kept coming. It just kept coming. That dip and rip kept coming. The power, the speed, the get off, and I love his get off. It's definitely important for him, and I loved how he just started coming on. And with Destin, what he said with the sacks and everything, everybody jumping in. I remember a couple of those. Kamoko Toure jumped in, DeForest Buckner jumped in and everything. I think that's just, they know what they're doing. Come on now. They know what they're doing. They're trying to get their stats as well. And yeah, they're definitely right now. What I, kind of not speaking too good, I guess if you want to say not speaking too good with Kwity, he was a rookie. Was there anything that you saw from his game this year that that he definitely needs work on?
Yeah, well, I think it's hard to pinpoint one thing. Everybody needs a lot of work coming from rookie year to second year because you want to make that jump. Kwity has a phenomenal get off. He's had that, and that's something he'll continue to build off of. I think now it's just understanding like, okay, you've seen X amount of games, you have all this film, you can now start to learn to study your opponent, their tendencies. You start to grow so much mentally from your first year to your second year. And then I say this to everybody that works with me, confidence is your number one pass rush. It always will be. And so as he gains confidence in himself and what he's doing, he is going to elevate his game, and that's going to come soon, in my opinion, because of what he put on tape, and he's gaining that confidence. I think it's really tough for someone like Kwity. You're a rookie, your defensive line coach isn't necessarily a great pass rush coach in a sense, right? He's an older guy, and I don't know much about him, but their whole staff is now going to be somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So, hopefully what happens is that they get a defensive coordinator in there and a D-line coach that has, the knowledge of being able to work with Kwity during the season, because that goes around the NFL a lot. Actually, it's not just in Indy. A lot of places in the NFL, they're not necessarily developing their rookies to pass rush or to do something in a sense where, you're a professional, you're expected to come in, develop or work on your game in the offseason and invest with your own money, your own time, and invest to be able to play right away. And that's what a lot of guys, are starting to realize in the NFL is that, hey, I need to find somebody to get with, whatever it is. If I'm a quarterback, if I'm a receiver, if I'm an O-lineman, right? It goes everywhere. But I think defensive linemen now are starting more than ever to realize, like, hey, I got to get with somebody that I can trust and I can work with, and it works for me, so that when I do get to camp, I'm not necessarily still trying to develop moves and what I like to do,
And kind of just touching base, you just kind of spoke on like what he can improve on, which, like you said, if you're not trying to improve in the offseason in the NFL, why are you here? Is kind of like how I look at it a little bit. But so looking at Kwity Paye's rookie year, and you've talked a little bit about where he's flashed and things like that. Where do you think he excelled at in year one that you may have not been prepared for him to excel already at?
I think getting off of the blocks and putting the moves into action. Like, we worked on a lot of different stuff while he was here in California with me, but I wasn't expecting him to be able to take it to the game and make it look so smooth so quickly. Especially coming from college where he didn't necessarily get to rush on the edge that often. He gets to the Colts and he's rushing the edge. And I think in the preseason right away, he was, putting those moves into display, and he was getting to the quarterback, and it really happened all year long. So I think that's what I was kind of surprised about, how quickly he was able to do that, and surprised that the speed of the game wasn't necessarily, slowing him down at all. He really stepped up in that sense. I think I said this to you last time we spoke. It's not going to be about his sack numbers or anything. I just want to see him kind of how he develops throughout the year and how quickly he starts to get things and it clicks. And, talking to him, it seemed like it was clicking all year long.
Yeah, and hopefully going into year two, and this isn't something you have to touch on just because you know Kwity a little bit and you've talked to him more, but hopefully they add a little bit more talent on the defensive line to be able to help him out in a sense, and then also getting, like you said, a fresher mind or a fresher take on a pass rusher type of coach at the defensive line, with that opening being there. Like you said, the entire defensive staff now open, so a lot of changes coming for Indy.
Hey, Destin, you never know. We might be talking to the Colts defensive line coach right now. I'm just playing. I don't want to put you on the spot right there, Eddie, but it's all
I actually made that. I joked with Kwity too. He when he told me that, I was like, "Shoo, slide me in."
Right.
I'm trying to mess with him.
Here's my card.
Talk about a lateral move, man.
Say it again.
Talk about a lateral move.
Oh man. No, that's a goal of mine one day, just speaking on myself. But I'm young, man. I'm 30 in the industry. I'm young. I've been doing this. This is my 4th year on my own, really just like putting in the program work and keeping my head down. And to me, it's like I never really looked that too far ahead because I got a lot of people that rely on me in what I do. So I like to focus on them. When the time comes, it'll come. And if it's the right fit for me, then, so be it. I'll take it and run with it like I have everything else.
There you go. Okay. And if there's any high school kids right now in the Southern California area, or that are going to be going to college, going to be trying to get to the NFL, Eddie, you want to plug your training?
Yeah, so I'm in Southern California. I'm in Thousand Oaks, Westlake area out here in SoCal. It's actually where the Rams are, where their facility is. I'm really out here all from January going into late July, August. Available for really whoever, as long as it makes sense time-wise for me. Obviously pretty busy with combine right now. Senior Bowl prep just got finished up. We'll move into the second phase, which is getting ready for combine and pro days for everybody. And then the next phase will be like rookie mini camps for the pros. All the veterans start piling in. I'll be at UCLA. They're actually awesome. They open up the facility for me and the pros to come in. They love us out there. So, shout out UCLA. They've been great. And that's where your guy Kwity will be with me. I think he's coming out. I think he said the end of February.
Yeah, you'll have to make sure to tell him your favorite Colts podcast is the Blue Stable for him.
No
but if you guys aren't already following Eddie on social media, whether it's for defensive line and edge consulting, or just breakdowns of the game in that type of world, at DL Coach Ed on Twitter. Make sure you guys give him a follow. Maybe if you're lucky like me, he'll follow you back.
I appreciate it, man.
I definitely need to be one of those lucky ones, Destin. Definitely got to be like you. I want to be like you when I grow up. But anyways, guys, this is Eddy McGilvra, the trainer of Kwity Paye and many others, guys. He is deep into the business. He is very good at his job. He said he was 30. I never would have guessed he was 30 years old. This dude looks like he just got out of college at 23 years old, man. Typical Southern California guy, man. But other than that, Destin, Eddie, is there anything else that we want to talk about?
Eddie, real quick, Super Bowl, Bengals, Rams, who you got?
Uh-oh.
Come on, man.
On the spot. I'll give mine.
That's not hard for me, man. I'm going with my guys in LA. Shout out Greg Gaines, Michael Hoyt, Obeezy, the whole team over there, man. Those guys are awesome. The coaches, Coach Henney, Coach Dixon. I think they're taking it home, man, at the home stadium, at SoFi. Defensive line is playing incredible. I know this is a Colts podcast, but that defensive line has been, in my opinion, just the best the last 2-3 years. Obviously, AD 99 over there. But
yeah, I guess he's okay at football.
Yeah. Man, but,
I guess
he's all right.
It's interesting. I think it'll be a good game, but it's going to be hard to keep the Rams from winning in that stadium. So I'm gonna say Rams by 6 points.
Hey, I'm with you. I think the Bengals are a fun story. I think the Bengals have been a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
I feel like they've been the underdog the last 2 weeks, and they found a way to win. I don't think they're going to make it happen against the Rams in the Super Bowl. But, hey.
I'll say this. If Sebastian Joseph Day plays and they're able to get him in for the run stuff and the Bengals can't run the ball, could be over earlier than expected.
That's what I was.
Now the real question is: are the Rams going to break the Titans sack record against the Bengals 2 weeks ago with 9?
See, that's my thing.
Could the Rams do it?
I think they learned their lesson. They're protecting better. They're coached up. The NFL is crazy, man. You'll see teams get blown out 1 week. They'll come back and they'll win the next week.
Hey, it's the best in the business.
Supposed to. They coach, they get paid for a reason. They're professionals. Like, they're not just going to take it on the chin and be like, oh, okay, we're done. You saw them bounce back. They gave up 9 sacks, which is crazy. And they come back and then, pressure was somewhat of an issue, but they adjusted and they were able to beat Kansas City in Kansas City. So you could see that's the NFL for you, man. 1 week you're up, 1 week you're down. You got to bounce back. You got to make your money, earn your money as a coach and a player. So I'm hoping for a really good game, but I'm also hoping my guys take home the ship so we can we can have a little celebration before we get into training.
Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Put you on the spot there, so I appreciate you giving a prediction there. I think I agree. I think I'm going to end up going with the Rams as well. And the NFL, most competitive in all professional sports, in my opinion, for the 17th straight season. We're going to have a non-repeat Super Bowl champion. Best in the world. Love the NFL. Take the NFL over anything else. That's me personally.
This has been a great playoffs. This has been great playoffs, great football played. I don't see how this game is close. I'm probably going to agree with Ed here. I don't see how this game is close at all. I got the Rams winning 34-13. I'm not going to sit here and act like the Chiefs defense is similar to the Rams, because they're not. They're tougher up front. They're more physical in the secondary. They're more skilled in the secondary. I'm not going to disrespect the Rams like that. So I'll go with the Rams. But other than that, guys, this has been the official Colts podcast of Fansided. We are the Blue Stable. I am Michael Pevia. He is Destin Adams. Thank you again to Eddy McGilvra. Thank you again. We hope we can sit down and have many more of these talks talking about Kwity in the Pro Bowl and the All-Pro selections, all that stuff, things to come. And other than that, guys, we will see you next week.